Man, this is absurd, bro. I knew that Pizzagate was real when it was not okay to be a conspiracy theorist. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm better than anybody, but I've been through a lot of arguments, a lot of people turning their back, a lot of scrutiny, just because I believe what was true, okay? Now, I didn't outright just believe that Pizzagate was real, but it has so much evidence, right? The pictures, Podesta brothers, Hillary Clinton, the WikiLeaks. So many things have proved to me that it was real. But back then, it was not okay. And I would say propaganda made Americans go back into sleep. How long have you known that Pizzagate was real? Did you even know that Pizzagate was real? Like, how did you come about this? How did you come about to this conclusion that either it's real or fake? What do you believe? Let me know. Let's watch it together. Let's get it.
By 2016, there's this story on the internet that's getting a lot of attention on Twitter at the time. And it was actually the number one trending topic on Twitter for almost a year. And that was this story called Pizzagate. People started saying there's this crazy thing that's happening and kids are being, basement of a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C.
Fact.
Hillary Clinton's eating children, right? It was like this crazy
Fact.
story.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way any of this is true. So I just stayed away from it. Because in my mind, there's real things to talk about, right? Like at the time, the Syrian civil war is blowing up and we're trying to overthrow Assad. And there's fake 5-year-olds who are tweeting in perfect English to the United States, please come help us, send soldiers. And it's like, what is this, right? So I'm covering that kind of stuff and trying to expose that. But people keep pushing. So one night, I'm sitting there because I'm the anchor of that station as well, the primetime anchor. And so my co-anchor and I are sitting there one night and we're reading stories. And the way it works in local TV is, so we're in Atlanta. That's the 8th largest TV market in the country. But we still take a lot of our news from the network that will send it down to us in what are called feeds. So they'll feed you down
Operation Paperclip
stories to cover that are already written. And then you also have a feed that comes from like the Associated Press, CNN. A lot of people are tied into something called CNN News Source. And so CNN sends these pre-written stories to you.
That's coming from the horse's mouth. They feed you what they want you to know. They feed you what they want you to see, right? Television tell you what's a vision, right?
And it's kind of the big stories that they're covering. And by the way, they're always the gospel, right? You never challenge anything that comes down from on high.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and one night we're reading a story about a guy who goes into a pizza parlor in DC with a shotgun, and he shoots up the place because of this conspiracy theory online that had gained traction, and so his mind had been twisted and warped by it, right? And so I'm reading the story and I'm like, oh, this is that story that everyone keeps talking about, right? So read about this guy. And then in our script that came down from CNN, and then the next day it comes down from CBS also, the claim is, and you can go back and look it up, the claim is that Macedonian sheep farmers created the Pizzagate theory in order to prevent Hillary Clinton from becoming president. So we read this on the air and I'm like,
so everybody wants to not have her as president.
Telling me online, right? The idea that how would a Macedonian sheep farmer concoct this theory, and why would they concoct it, and how would they get all of Twitter talking about it? Right? It was totally crazy. And so that was the theory that was kind of pushed out into the mainstream.
That's the cabal. They working hand in hand together to confuse the cattle, in which they call us, right? They want us to be confused because once we know the truth, then there's no turning back. Once you know the truth, you can't turn back. But I think that we are going back to sleep, especially with this Epstein situation, because there's no more. They're not lying about it anymore. It's out in the open. So what are you going to do about it? All you could do is take care of your children. Make sure your children are right. You don't want to just act out and have to lose your life. And I get it, right? The average everyday American is paying bills, right? We're trying to survive also while raising our children. But I'm happy that it's exposed at the least.
And so at that point, I was like, okay, I'll look into it. So I get online, start messaging out, just kind of blasting out on Twitter. I'm going to look at Pizzagate. As crazy as it sounds, send me what you have. So people start sending information about it. And the first thing I find out is it's got nothing to do with Macedonian sheep farmers.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Of course.
instead, the first thing you find out is, oh, these files come from John Podesta's emails.
The WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks, right. So John Podesta, the claim is he left his phone in a cab in New York. Somebody got it. They saw who it belonged to, passed it through I don't know how many hands, it ended up in the hands of someone associated with WikiLeaks, and then they dumped 50,000 emails online, right? Mm-hmm. And remember, I mean, WikiLeaks doesn't do much anymore, and no one really talks about them much anymore.
Right.
But WikiLeaks at the time, they weren't ever editorializing anything. Right. They just put out information.
Right.
So if they got an email, they didn't tell you what to think about the email. They just put it up online.
They put the raw info out there.
You read it for yourself. You decide what you think of it.
Right.
And so they had dumped these emails. Okay. And then I started finding out that, well, actually, it's not, again, sheep farmers. It's a group of self-professed pedophiles on 4chan and 8chan at the time, because people were on a lot of these chat rooms, and this is where kind of pedophiles would go to communicate, were the first people to say, has anybody noticed that John Podesta has an awful lot of emails using the language we use, which is using pizza coded language? Huh. I had never heard of this.
If you look at the emails, most of the context that they're using these pizza words in, or these weird these words in for food, does not correlate with the conversation. Most of the words, you can just oppose them with things that you may think these people may say, right? Or if you look up the FBI files and see what these PDF files use for code language, you will understand in what context these elite are using these words in. Okay, these elite politicians, etc. My intake is that we allow these people to govern us. All right. They're the minority, we're the majority. We remain civil to keep the benefits that we have. They're supposed to serve us, but in this day and time, we have learned, right? And it's been going on for years upon years upon years. Different organizations, different faces. But we understand that these people don't serve us, right? They serve something else. And I think that he gonna get more into detail, and I'm loving this already. What do you guys think?
Pizza being used as a code for anything, especially for child
PDF files.
PDF files. So
these kind of people were admitting this online.
Yeah, but remember, these chat rooms, they're all anonymous, right? And so they're all sitting there.
Oh, because it's 4chan. Mm-hmm. Got it.
And so they're anonymously talking to each other in these groups, which is where, even at the time, I mean, you could go back and look at local police departments or FBI. This is where they would go to try to find these rings to break them up.
Oh, really?
Because this is where they congregate. Or at the time they would, right?
Right.
Here.
Right.
Again, internet's changed a lot in 20 years, right? Years ago, it was like chat rooms and people would IM each other. It's all changed so much technologically in a very short amount of time. So then, as a journalist, then I start looking at, okay, well, then the next step is this true? Like, do pedophiles communicate with each other like this? So next thing I do is get online, go into 4chan, go into 8chan.
They do say that the truth is stranger than fiction, man. I better open them Bibles up.
Start trying to communicate with these groups and saying, is this true? And they're all like, yeah, this is how we talk to each other.
By the way, how common is it for a local news anchor like yourself to go this deep on something?
Nothing. Never happens. Never happens. Who's going to do that? It sounds tough. No, this does not happen.
Right.
Totally unique to
Hey, I want to get this time to shout out Alex Jones and the InfoWar, because they do give it up in a real way, right? I appreciate Alex Jones, man. He put me up on this. Not only him, but mostly him.
Like this. But I was like fascinated by it.
Right.
So then the next thing I did was I was like, okay, well, is there anything outside of the word of a pedophile? Not exactly the most credible people necessarily, but aside from the PDF files who are online, is there any way to verify this? And the funny thing was, I looked at the time. This is in, again, 2016. I find an entry in Urban Dictionary from 2010, so from 6 years before, where if you looked up cheese pizza, it stated at the time this was code language used by pedophiles because it's an acronym. Cheese pizza, CP, child CP. So if they were trying to exchange child, they would say, I have cheese pizza. who wants cheese pizza. That's how they would communicate with each other, with an acronym. And then out of that acronym, there grew a series of other code words that were pizza related. So like pizza slice, hot dog, all those different kinds of things. Pizza sauce, pasta, it's all related to that. But that's where the origin, the genesis of it is the acronym CP.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
Now, there are people to this day in 2026, shockingly, who still say, oh, that's not true. There's no proof of this.
Because they're lazy.
Even
Because they're lazy and they don't want to believe it. Because to believe it, you have to understand that you're being controlled by these oligarchy monsters, right? These people that don't follow the same rules as us, but expect us to follow the rules. The people that are playing with our patience and playing with us, trying to be civil. They know that we don't want to break the law. They know that we don't want to hurt anybody. But guess what? They're going to keep doing what they're doing because most people don't want to know this. Most people don't want to see this because knowing the truth, it burdens you. Okay. Now that you know the truth, what are you going to do about it? That's why I asked you that question.
as recently as 2023, the FBI arrested a prolific sex offender who was a child sex offender. And the way they caught him was online. They caught him using pizza language in order to communicate. And that was specifically how they tracked him. It's in the documents surrounding his arrest and his conviction.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this the Dennis Hastert guy?
Dennis Hastert's different than that.
Okay.
Yes. Dennis Hastert was the Speaker of the House.
Okay.
This is back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, wow.
So third most powerful person in Washington.
Jesus Christ.
Years later, he was finally convicted of having, when he was a wrestling coach in his previous life, brutally dozens of boys who were in his programs.
Jesus Christ.
When the judge sentenced him, the judge said, I have never, in all of my career, sentenced a more prolific and violent sex offender than Dennis Hastert.
And he only did how much time?
Oh, it was a very short amount of time. 18 months, I think. It was a very short amount of time.
Y'all pay attention to your kids, man. Y'all watch y'all kids because ain't nobody gonna love them the way y'all love them. And there are people out there that's out to get them. Like, always think that. I hate to tell you to be paranoid and things of that nature, but paranoid keep your children alive. I'm sorry at this point because you don't know who's around you. You got to be prepared, man. Fathers need to be in the home. I don't care about that feminism stuff. That feminism stuff, take fathers out the home. You need fathers in the home. You need to protect these children. They need to be loved.
And he was very old and decrepit at the time. But you have to think, if you abuse that many boys that violently, that many years before, you don't just turn it off.
Right.
You don't just stop. So that's kind of how we got into the story, and then kept digging into it, and found a lot of stuff. We put together this report.
Yeah.
We ran the report. I ran it all the way up the chain of the station that I was at. My news director read it, agreed with it. Like,
really?
Yeah. And we were very gentle with it in that there's a lot of imagery associated with that pizza place, imagery that was from the Instagram page of the guy who owned it, James Elefantis. There's no evidence that he's done anything to anyone, but he had a lot of very
weird shit going on.
Questionable, seemingly perverse photographs on his Instagram. Little girl with her wrists taped to a table, things like that. Yeah.
What was the deal with the pizza place though? Because the story was this shit happened in the basement, but the place didn't even have a basement, right?
That's what they say.
Is there proof of that? Didn't somebody go in there?
The guy went in with the gun, and I think there are people who have tried.
After that, people.
Yeah, I think there are people who have tried to.
Right.
I think there are people who have tried to. What I will break on your show is that since the Epstein stuff, since we've kind of been vindicated through all this, I've had a lot of people who have come to me and said, "You were right 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was too afraid to say something." But I'm going to show you this. And what I will tell you.
Now, I've had my own experiences of people telling me that you were right about certain things. And now I am vindicated with the skepticism I've been having about these elites, man. And what they do to people. It feels good to be vindicated, but what are we going to do about it? When are we going to hold them accountable, right? What am I doing in my everyday to protect my child, to prevent this from happening?
There is a basement in that pizza parlor.
Really?
Yep.
You have images to prove it.
Yep.
No fucking way.
So we're putting that together in the form of a full film that we'll be releasing soon.
We always got to do that shit, man. When it's something like this and of this stature, why do y'all always wait to do? Just put it out. Why do y'all? And then all of a sudden they unalived and they fell 3 flights down the stairs with 50 gunshot wounds to the head, and they committed self-harm. Dude, just put it out. Stop waiting, bro. I hate when y'all do this stuff. Yeah. Let's make it see, the thing is, y'all make it an action movie, bro. This is real life. Like, can we stop playing? This is annoying, bro. But I do respect what you're doing. Like, I can't not respect it. But bro, come on, please stop doing that.
Because I didn't believe there was. I thought this was just, it became part of the conspiracy. Because the thing is, whether there's a basement or not,
right?
The concept of Pizzagate is still true. There are powerful people who ritualistically and systematically abuse small children. Right. And a lot of those people are around the largest centers of power in this country. Right. Whether they be the tech centers, the political centers, the financial centers, that's where they are. That, regardless of this one pizza place, is true. But turns out the other part's true as well.
Howdy, folks. 70% of y'all aren't subscribed. Did you know that? So if you're already watching, I think you rock, and I'm really glad you found us. So hit the subscribe button down below to get more awesome episodes like this, which will also help us get more great guests. Now back to the show.
One of the things that stood out to me about the guy who owned the place is that he had been named in 2013 or 2014, I think, maybe 2015. GQ magazine had named him one of the 50 most powerful people in Washington, D.C.
A pizza shop owner?
Yeah, in some strip mall in D.C.
Pizza shop owner.
It's like D.C. has 100 senators. It has the president and his cabinet,
right?
The whole administration. It has the Supreme Court. It has 435 members of Congress of the House.
What's this guy's name?
James Alefantis.
James Alefantis. See if you can find that. GQ.
GQ.
James, type in GQ James Alefantis. See what you can find.
See if it's been scrubbed. If it has been scrubbed, it's also in the original story, the image of it.
So when you brought all this to the higher ups at the news channel, they were like, "Cool, let's do it. See what happens."
Yeah, I remember I asked the guy, because it took so many weeks after that guy had walked in with his gun. It took so many weeks to put this together and really investigate it.
Right.
That by the time I took to him, I said to him, "So it's ready to go. My only question is, do you still want to run it? Because it's been so many weeks."
Right.
And he read through the story and he said, "I don't see why we wouldn't run it. You're the only one who's talking about this, and it's all here. It's like there's nothing you can look at, I would argue, that you can look at in that story and say, well, that's not true." Like everything we pointed out was true. Some people could say, well, maybe you're connecting things that you don't have the right to connect. Maybe. So challenge it. Right. Tell me where it's wrong.
Right.
But again, our point was
they can't. They just shame you into not believe in what you just seen with your own eyes. Right. Don't believe what you see. Believe what I tell you. That's their motto.
That, and even today, like I interviewed Michael Tracy, who's a very smart guy on Substack. He's a good journalist, but he's kind of a contrarian.
Yes.
For the sake of it. There you go.
This is him.
Yeah.
My God. He's number 49 of the top 50 most influential people in Washington. That is absurd.
Not influential. It says powerful.
Oh, powerful.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, dude.
And you own a single pizza shop.
So it wasn't a chain. It was just one off.
You own one. Yeah, it's not a chain. It's his own place. And the reason he got dragged into the whole thing is because he's all over Podesta's emails communicating with Podesta about pizza. So that's how people traced it to him specifically. That's why he got dragged into it.
And then the whole thing about Podesta's brother and his house with all those paintings and all that creepy ass artwork that he has in his house. It just adds a whole nother layer to this thing. Like, what the fuck are these people really doing?
It does add another layer. And I think when you again, it's so interesting because the sourcing for that isn't some internet sleuth who was like, oh, I found out what Tony Podesta has in his house. Tony Podesta had, I believe it was from the Washington Post, had some Lifetime editor who years before had walked through his house to show off all of his artwork.
He's bragging about it.
Yeah, and it's a glowing piece written about his kind of risque art. Well, his risque art is like little girls lined up, bare bottomed with their asses are red, where they've been spanked, right? They've been disciplined. He had there it is. Jeffrey Dahmer That's the pose of how Jeffrey Dahmer left some of his victims.
Really?
Yeah, that's what that piece of art is. The headless, body twisted
Poor
like
guy.
that, hanging in his foyer. And that is the way Jeffrey Dahmer left some of his
And he's
victims.
posing in front of it like this. There's way sicker shit than this too.
Yeah.
There's like weird shit with like kids all lined up, like chained together and stuff.
It's very, very perverse stuff. And by the way, I would argue this is something else we're working on as part of this new film we're going to put together. There is a
Look at that one. That thing with the big long like sloth hands.
yeah. Look at that.
Ew. Is that his?
Now is that in his place?
I don't know if that's in his place or not.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. But there is a correlation, I would argue, between what these. I don't want to say these, right? I want to get sued. Between what these child ritualistic predators do and cannibalism. There is definitely a correlation between those two worlds. And the reason I say that is, like, again, if you go into like what Podesta has there, right? Why would Tony Podesta have artwork that celebrates the victims of a cannibal? John Podesta, his brother, whose emails were leaked, in his campaign office, and you can look this one up too, in his campaign office for Hillary Clinton, when he was working for her as chief of staff, he has a painting of a doctor eating one of his patients. And so there's a lot of like cannibalistic stuff that fits into that. The other thing is there's a woman
Aberdeen.
named, and you will find a lot of her stuff. You've probably already seen it as you're going through that stuff. Named Marina Abramovich, who is a performance artist. This is going to be, by the way, great for your Patreon channel, because so much of this is going to have to get bleeped out.
Yeah. For people on YouTube, I'm very, very sorry. There's going to be lots of bleeps or muted areas of this podcast,
understand.
but the full unedited version will be on Patreon.
There you go. So you need to go there to hear all this stuff. But so she is a performance artist, and one of the things she does is something called spirit cooking. Have you heard of this?
No.
So spirit cooking is performance art using blood and semen, and you're drinking both blood and semen as part of this. It's spirit cooking. You're making this little mix. She does a lot of this stuff. A lot of her performance art involves images of children or depictions of children. Sexual abuse themes run through almost everything she does. Sexual abuse for adults as well. And then, like I said, a lot of the spirit cooking stuff. So there's a lot of these spirit cooking conversations with John Podesta in the emails where she's inviting him to another spirit cooking event and come to this thing.
What?
Yeah, there's a lot of it. And so she's heavily tied into this as far as kind of representing, I think, for a lot of people, that kind of satanic element, right? So her name goes away, and then it's so interesting because there is a direct connection all the way back into the Epstein stuff, which is that, so Epstein was very close to the little dictator over in Ukraine, Zelensky. They were very close.
Really?
Yeah, there's a bunch of emails between the two.
Isn't it wild how everything connects to one another though? Like nothing is coincidence. Everything just connects to one another. Like as far as the people that are in power and the events that happen, it's nuts, bro. Mind you, Epstein is a random person who became a professor, became a billionaire. That's connected to Rothschilds, all the connections to all these high power politicians. Like, how did he get there? Like, it's not like a success story where you just grow up one day, you work your way up, and you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and you ended up earning where you're at. It's just, and he ended up there. Ain't that kind of weird to you? Isn't that weird? Like, at the most, it's just weird. You ain't gotta believe nothing this guy's saying, none that the Pizzagate conspiracy theory puts out, but at the least, it's very questionable, and there's a lot of gaps that does not make sense, and in which people came up or how they know each other. It just doesn't make any sense.
Two of them, they had lunch together multiple times. Epstein was very involved in Ukraine since 2014. He was very excited about the U.S.
Why?
through there. Wrote an email describing it as being very, very good for us, and saying there were many, many possibilities that would take place because of the destabilization of Ukraine. and the fact that the U.S. overthrew the leader there and installed their own guy. When Zelensky was running, he liked Zelensky. He wrote an email to someone basically saying Zelensky was an idiot and doesn't know anything, but that's why he would be easy
That's what
to
they like.
manipulate.
Right.
And then they had a lot of meetings together. Well, flash forward all the way to 2023, the war's going on between Russia and Ukraine. And while that war is going on, Zelensky invites performance artist Marina Abramovich to come to Ukraine and to become an ambassador, not to Ukraine, an ambassador for Ukraine. And she's not even Ukrainian, she's Romanian, but he wanted her to come and be an ambassador for Ukraine. And you can't make this stuff up. Her specific area would be to be the ambassador for the children who were orphaned by this war. The spirit cooking artist who's all over the Pizzagate emails, who's all over this stuff talking about, and by the way, cannibalism is a huge part of her performance art too. There's pictures of her and Lady Gaga at some event where they have like a human body. Yep, there it is. Lying in this thing and they're eating off of it.
What the this is her? The Abramovich girl did this?
So yeah, so Abramovich is the one with the spoon in mouth next to Lady Gaga.
What
At this point, I don't even understand how y'all don't see how y'all ain't never seen this.
If you want to see this, we'll split
nothing
the link
new.
below for people. But this is insane.
It's insane.
This is
Oh my
Yeah.
God. This is her artwork?
Yep.
yeah.
Keep going down. Yeah. We can't show this or else we'll get this shit nuked off YouTube.
Facts.
Wow.
It's not something you see every day.
I don't
Say that.
understand it.
So Epstein's a complicated story because keep describing it to people like this. From what I can understand, it's like a series of rings, right? The widest ring is like, just because you're in one of Jeffrey Epstein's emails doesn't mean you're even
Yes, that's a
perverted
great
person.
way to put it.
Right.
That's a great
that
way to put it.
outer ring, that's a lot of people in there. Because that
Yes.
was his job. Part of what he did as an intelligence asset is he's just going to connect to as many
I've
people
talked
as
to
he can.
lots of scientists that have done just one-off Zoom calls with the guy just because he was interested in whatever they were looking at. And they knew, like, why wouldn't I do this? This guy's funded all of my smartest people I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. He was a
Oh, that's Giovanni.
What are you looking for? Oh, the doctor photo?
Yeah. There was something really.
Type in.
yeah, that was in the Tony Podesta home. Those are the girls who were
He said it was a doctor eating patient. Type that in.
Yeah. And that was also a write-up that was done, I think, by the Washington Post about his
Is that
creative
on the
artwork.
clown? No.
No, I would recognize it if I saw it.
Yeah.
Keep looking, Steve. You'll find it.
See, some of this stuff gets scrubbed, and that's what's interesting too.
Yeah,
There's a lot of this
Google
stuff-
curates this shit, dude. Big
when
time.
when you find stuff along the way, that's what I've tried to save as much as I can because that stuff disappears in a very odd way.
It does.
You know?
It really does. All right. So the ring analogy.
Yeah,
It's great.
So that widest ring, there's lots of people, and you're absolutely right too. Like when you're as wealthy as Jeffrey Epstein is, and you can fund a lot of stuff, why wouldn't people talk to him, especially when they don't know?
Money's power.
Exactly.
Money corrupts.
So you have that wider ring. Then you had and this is a pretty kind of crude analogy because obviously you're trying to draw lines without really understanding the lines. But I would say the next ring up is that, okay, there are people who, hey, maybe we go a little bit deeper. I'm into some weird stuff like cloning and I want human experimentation and let's do gene modification and sperm modification. You got to be a little more twisted to start moving.
Man, I agree. It seems like the Epstein files, they talk a lot about that. And I think that they're trying to manipulate the Epstein files with AI to make people to discredit the files, if that makes sense. Yeah. Honestly, it's freaking crazy and weird how this person was allowed to be among us and be among the powerful without even like no one questioning it, right? No one. I think Trump did. I think he did a great thing by getting him locked up, but it's just the waters are too muddied when it comes to that guy. It is very tricky and Mickey and scary. That's what I mostly could say about that.
Towards that world.
Yes.
Then you get into a ring of people that I would say is hey, by the way, we have some fun on our island. You know, if you like girls, I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about girls who are like, 17. They're barely where they're not supposed to be. Or maybe they're 18 or maybe they're 19.
Right.
And you get there and you don't even know the girl's like 17 instead of 19.
Right.
Because that's also part of the
She
honey
could
trap.
look 25 and you would never know.
And that's part of the game.
Yes,
Right?
100%. And we don't know who fits in what circle either.
We have no idea.
By the limited hangout of the emails that we've gotten, because
right.
we have, for example, Elon Musk could be totally fucking innocent, but we have emails of him going back and forth with Epstein about wanting to go to the island. We have no proof that he ever went. It doesn't seem
That
like
was
he
crazy.
Right.
That was
But,
real
like,
crazy.
There's a huge
Can't trust
gap
nobody.
there in our
Sure.
knowledge of who fits in what part of that circle.
Well, and then we know that like the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, right? We know that he
fucking
lied. And
scumbag.
He went
Facts.
to the island.
Fucking liar.
He took his kids to the
Bruh.
island.
Yeah.
But we don't know he did anything on the island, right?
We did know he fucking lying through
But
his
we know he
teeth.
lied about it.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly.
So that becomes a bigger problem. The bigger problem is that if you did nothing wrong, why'd you lie? Why'd you pretend that you were never?
And why the fuck does he still have a job? That's my question.
Yeah.
100%.
How's that guy still the fucking content creator? He 10 steps
100%.
away from Jeffrey Epstein and lied to fucking everybody in the most condescending, theatrical way on that stupid podcast, whatever that thing was called, Pod Save America or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Anyways,
So then you have that circle, and there's a circle of men who I think were brought there, and they were supposed to be honey trapped, right? That's the whole point of it,
Right.
But then you have that kind of darkest circle, which is the very top one, right? Which is so for very select people, there is a ritualistic, abusive element that's focused on very young, small children. In some cases, kids as small as infants or babies. And it also seems to be tied into kind of a satanic belief. So there's like a satanic element to that. It's ritualistic. It's very focused on very young children. And it absolutely exists. It is absolutely within every power structure, it seems like. And there are people who are in those circles who are running around with lots of other powerful people who have no idea that they're in it.
Right.
So I think where people make the mistake is you think, well, it's like the Illuminati, right? The people at the very, very top, they're all in on it. No, they're not all in on it. There's a very select group of people who are in on it. And those people believe they are deriving power from this. They think it's giving them power over everyone.
Justified. It's
where does this
justified.
derive from? Where does this come from? This belief?
Satan. It's all in the Bible, man. I think that's enough for today. Don't want to scare you guys off. But this is an interesting video that I want to share with you guys. I also want to give a little take on it. And I honestly, this is mind-boggling. Like, this distorts reality for everyone who believes that, we just live our life, do our 40 hours, go home, raise our kids. Life goes on. No, it's a different world out there. And these people that controls us and choose to make our life hard, right? Overtax us, keep us busy, right? Work us to death. They are not in our best interest, and they do things that are satanic, right? If you don't believe in God, understand that these Satanists believe in God. The people that play with children and do things of that nature, right? They believe in God, right? Because Satan is the opposite of God. So I would say, for my take of this, get in the Bible and protect your children at all costs. Love on your children and pray that this goes away. Pray that these people get held accountable, because it's a crazy world we're living in, and the truth is stranger than fiction. If you can, please like, comment, subscribe, share what you believe, show me what you know, and I appreciate you guys again. It's your boy South Central. We got it.
We be really politicking while we whipping in the kitchen. God be my witness. At the age of 15, I was fighting my fitness.